The phone rang at 3 a.m., a scream in the silence that ripped me from sleep. My hand, gnarled as old tree roots, fumbled for the receiver on the nightstand, my eyes squinting at the glow of the caller ID. Tommy's name stared back at me, my son, gone 15 years, taken by a drunk driver on a rain-soaked night in 2010. My heart didn't leap with hope, it sank, heavy with dread. I'd buried him, felt the weight of his coffin in my soul every day since. Yet there it was, his number, glowing like a ghost. I answered, my voice a brittle whisper. "Hello?" "Mom," his voice, faint, frightened, unmistakably Tommy's. "I don't have much time." "Where am I?" My breath caught, sharp as a shard of glass. I sat up in bed, the darkness pressing in like a living thing. "Tommy? Baby, is that you?" The line went dead, leaving only static and the echo of his plea. I stared at the phone, my pulse hammering in my ears. It wasn't possible. His phone had been destroyed in the crash, smashed to bits with his car. But that voice, it was his, down to the way he'd stretched Mom when he was scared, like when he was 6 and lost at the county fair. I didn't sleep again that night. Before I tell you what I found, what I did, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and drop a comment with the city you're watching from. I want to know where this story finds you. Morning came, gray and heavy, the kind of dawn that feels like it's morning with you. I sat at my kitchen table, the same one where Tommy used to eat his frosted flakes, his skinny legs swinging under the chair, his laughter filling the room. The phone sat in front of me, a silent accusation. I was 74, too old for ghosts, but not too old to feel the ache of losing him. Tommy had been 22, just starting his life, working at the auto shop, talking about moving to the city. Then Garrett Klein, a drunk with a rap sheet longer than my arm, plowed into him on Highway 17. Klein walked away with a limp and a 5-year sentence. I got a lifetime of grief. The trial was a blur, Klein's smug face burned into my memory as he offered a hollow apology, tears as fake as a $3 bill. He was out now, living somewhere in town, while my boy was dust. I called Tommy's number back, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. It rang once, twice, then went to voicemail. No greeting, just a beep. I hung up, my mind racing. Maybe it was a glitch, a cruel prank. But that voice, God help me, it was Tommy's. I opened my laptop, something I rarely touched anymore, and logged into the account for Tommy's old phone plan. I'd never cancelled it, some foolish part of me clinging to his number like it could keep him close. The record showed the call, 3:02 a.m., lasting 16 seconds. Outgoing calls from that number were impossible. I checked the location data, my fingers clumsy on the keys. The call had come from somewhere in town, a few miles away, near the old industrial district. I didn't think. I grabbed my coat, my keys, and drove. The Buick groaned as I followed the GPS to a rundown part of town, all cracked sidewalks and sagging porches, where hope seemed to have packed up and left years ago. The signal led to a dive bar called Rusty's, its neon sign flickering in the daylight. I parked across the street, my heart pounding like it might give out. I wasn't sure what I was looking for, but I couldn't stop now. Inside, the air was sour with stale beer and regret. A few regulars hunched over their drinks, eyes glazed, lost in their own miseries. I asked the bartender, a guy with a beard like steel wool, if he'd seen anyone using a phone around 3 a.m. He shrugged, barely looking up. "Lady, we close at 2. Nobody's here that late." Back in the car, I sat, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles whitened. That's when I saw him, Garrett Klein. Older, grayer, but unmistakable, with that same lopsided limp. He walked out of an alley behind the bar, a cigarette dangling from his lips, his eyes scanning the street like he was expecting trouble. My blood turned to ice. I hadn't seen him in years, but the sight of him brought it all back, the crash, the funeral, the way he'd looked at me in court, like my pain was just collateral damage. I followed him, keeping my distance, as he shuffled to a trailer park a few blocks away, a cluster of rusted homes that looked like they'd been forgotten by time. He disappeared into a trailer, the kind that might collapse under a strong wind. I went home, my mind a storm. That night, I called Tommy's number again. No answer. I left a message, my voice trembling. Tommy, if it's you, tell me what's happening. I'm here, baby. I didn't expect a reply, but I needed to say it. The next morning, I drove back to the trailer park, parking far enough away to watch without being seen. Klein came and went, always alone, always with that same careless swagger, like the world owed him something. I started noticing things, his routine, the way he'd leave at dusk and return late, sometimes with a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I kept watching, day after day, my grief hardening into something sharper, something I hadn't felt in years. A week later, another call came. 3 a.m. again. Mom, please. I'm scared. It's dark. My heart shattered all over again. I begged him to tell me where he was, but the line cut out. This time, the phone record showed the call came from Klein's trailer. My hands shook as I wrote it down, the pieces falling together in a way that made my skin crawl. Klein had something to do with this. I didn't know how, but I was going to find out. I started digging. I went to the library, combed through old newspapers, anything I could find on Klein. He'd been in and out of trouble since his release, petty theft, bar fights, nothing big enough to send him back to prison. But there were rumors, whispers in online forums about a guy in town who could get you things, phones, IDs, whatever you needed, no questions asked. They called him the Fixer. The description fit Klein like a glove, same limp, same greasy charm. I found a post from someone claiming the Fixer had spoofed a dead relative's number to scam their family. My stomach churned. Was that what this was? A scam? I bought a burner phone from a gas station, called a number I found in one of those forums. A gruff voice answered, and I played dumb, said I needed a phone with a clean number. He told me to meet him at Rusty's, same bar I'd seen Klein near. When I showed up, there he was, leaning against the wall like he owned the place. I stayed in the shadows, watching as he handed a bag to some kid who couldn't have been older than 20. My heart stopped. That kid looked like Tommy, same lanky build, same nervous energy. I didn't approach Klein. Not yet. I needed more. I kept watching, piecing it together. Klein was running a scam, spoofing old numbers, maybe targeting grieving families. But why Tommy's number? Why me? I remembered the trial, the way Klein's eyes had lingered on me, not with remorse but with something darker, like he enjoyed my pain. This wasn't just a scam. It was personal. He'd known what losing Tommy did to me, and now he was twisting the knife, using my son's voice to haunt me. I needed proof. One night, I waited until Klein left his trailer, then broke in. My hands shook as I picked the lock, something Tommy had taught me when he was a teenager, always sneaking out to meet his friends. The trailer was a pigsty, littered with beer cans, cigarette butts, and takeout containers. In a locked drawer, I found it, a burner phone with Tommy's number programmed into it. There were recordings, too, snippets of a voice that sounded like Tommy's, but distorted, like it had been pieced together from fragments. I found old voicemails from Tommy, ones he'd left me years ago, saved on a USB drive. Klein had been using AI to stitch them together, creating those calls. I also found a notebook, filled with names and numbers, mine included, marked with a date, the anniversary of Tommy's death. He was targeting me. He'd been calling, playing that voice, knowing it would break me. I sat there, in his filthy trailer, and felt something shift inside me. Grief became rage, sharp and cold. Klein wasn't just a drunk who'd killed my son. He was a monster, feeding on my pain, profiting from it. I took the phone, the notebook, the USB drive, and left, my heart pounding but my resolve like steel. I could have gone to the police, but they'd do nothing. A prank call, they'd say. No proof of real harm. No, this was mine to settle. I spent weeks planning, watching Klein's every move. I learned his habits, his weaknesses. He drank too much, trusted too easily, always thought he was the smartest guy in the room. I started small, slashing his tires, leaving notes on his doorstep that said, "I know what you did." I wanted him to feel hunted, the way I'd felt every time that phone rang. I saw the change in him, the way he started looking over his shoulder, jumping at shadows. It wasn't enough, but it was a start. I dug deeper, using the library computer to track his contacts. I found out he was working with a guy named Eddie, a lowlife who ran a pawn shop downtown. Eddie was the one supplying Klein with old phones, numbers pulled from stolen records. I paid Eddie a visit, pretending to be a customer looking for a cheap phone. He was greasy, talkative, let slip that Klein had a special project involving some old lady who wouldn't let go. That was me. I smiled, thanked him, and left, my hands shaking with fury. I started calling Klein from the burner phone, using Tommy's number. I played his own recordings back to him. "Garrett. I don't have much time. Where am I?" His voice shook when he answered, thinking it was a ghost. I hung up, let him stew. The next night, I did it again. And again. I could see it wearing him down, the way he stopped going out as much, the way his limp seemed heavier, like fear was dragging him down. I wanted him to feel what I'd felt, helpless, haunted, trapped. The final move came on the anniversary of Tommy's death, October 24th. I lured Klein to Rusty's, sent a text from the burner saying I had a job for him, big money. When he showed up, I was waiting in the alley, dressed in black, my face hidden under a scarf. I'd paid a kid from the trailer park to slip something into his drink, nothing lethal, just enough to make him slow, foggy. When he stumbled out, I was there, the burner phone in my hand. "Garrett," I said, my voice low, rough with years of grief. He froze, squinting into the dark. I played Tommy's voice one last time. "Why did you do it, Garrett?" His face went white, his knees buckling. He thought it was Tommy's ghost, come for him. I let him believe it, let the fear sink into his bones, let it choke him. Then I stepped into the light, just enough for him to see my face, to know it was me. "You took my son," I said, my voice steady now. "And now you're playing games with his memory? You're done." I didn't touch him. I didn't need to. The look in his eyes, pure, raw terror, was enough. He collapsed, sobbing, muttering apologies that meant nothing. I left him there, crumpled in the alley, a broken man. I sent the notebook, the phone, and the USB drive to the police, anonymously, with a note detailing his scam. They raided his trailer the next day, found enough to charge him with fraud, identity theft, maybe more. I don't know if Klein ever figured out it was me. I don't care. I still keep Tommy's number active, just in case. Sometimes, late at night, I dial it, hoping for a miracle, for one real moment with my boy. It never comes. But I have something now, something I didn't have before, a fire that keeps me warm, even in the dark. Revenge isn't justice, but it's mine. It's the only thing that's kept me going, the only thing that's let me sleep. Thank you for listening to my story. If it moved you, please subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below with your city, I'd love to know where you are. And if you've ever lost someone, hold them close in your heart. They're never really gone.